Excel is quite happy to deal with time, including adding up time and taking one amount of time away from another, as long as you're happy to deal with using time in the way that Excel is. When dealing with time, Excel knows that there are 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, but sometimes it doesn't know what you mean when you type a value in a cell. If I were to put a time element in, time parts are divided by colon. So if I put 5:00, the assumption, as far as Excel is concerned, is that that is 5 hours. And you can see when you click on the value, it shows actually 5 a.m. So even choosing a cell at random, if I put 5:00, it might display differently, but it's still 5 hours. And you see 5 a.m. in the formula bar. If you actually want to put 5 minutes in a cell, then you need to put 0:5:00, so that you're saying we have no hours, 5 minutes, and no seconds. And you'll see then we get the 5 minutes. In the formula bar, it also shows 12 a.m. as the start of the day. But the most important bit here is that that is now 5 minutes. So it's just to be aware how you type minutes in. The other thing with time to be aware of is that it's just a proportion of a day. If I were to take the date formatting off that cell and go to General, see I get 0.03472. Now that's actually a lot longer than that. In the formula bar, it's 0.00347222222, because a day is 1. So 5 minutes is 5 divided by 60 divided by 24 parts of a day. So when it actually calculates time by adding things up, it will work in the decimals, but display that in a time format as a proportion of a day. So I could put that back into time, and I get the same element of time, which is 5 minutes. If we want to use time and calculate time and add up time, etc., we might create a column here that has 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 42 minutes, 13 minutes, 30 seconds. So these are all portions of time, and if I want to add those 4 up, I could quite happily use the sum function, add the 4 up, and quite happily Excel adds them up. So it's totaling 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 62 minutes, which is an hour. So I've got my 2 minutes, 15 minutes, 30, 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 30. And you can see that it quite happily adds those up. As long as you deal with time in the way that Excel is looking to expect it, it will quite happily deal with you. And it can add past the 24. That's not an issue. It's not going to start thinking, ooh, I need days. If, for example, we have some proportions of time that are 3 hours. Now, if you're dealing with hours, you don't need to put the seconds on. You can see when I click back on this is hours, minutes, and seconds. 6 hours, 12 hours and a half, 5 hours, 7 hours and 15 minutes, 6 hours, 45 minutes. And then we would try to add those up. Comes to 16 hours, 30. Let's then change one of those values to 16 hours and 30 minutes. And you can see that all of a sudden this goes to 3. Now the reason that this has dropped to 3 is because we asked it to add up, and it displayed a result. That result was the right result, but at that point, the cell then gets formatted. And the cell has been formatted to show hours and minutes. Now, unfortunately, this all adds up to 51, which is actually 2 days, 3 hours. And it's just not displaying the 2 days. So if you happen to do this with a formula and think, hang on a minute, that's gone awry, what we need to then do is actually reformat this cell to display all the hours. And we do that by going to Home, Number, little pop out, come down to Custom, and make sure that you choose this one here, where the H is in square brackets, which effectively tells it to show the total number of hours. So it will then effectively convert any days into hours. And you can see in the sample, I'm going to get 51. So that's H in brackets, colon minutes, colon seconds. Okay, and that's now adding up the grand total of hours. If I were to make any of those any bigger, 16 hours, 25, we're now getting the correct grand total. So it's just something to be aware of if the adding up of time does not quite look right. If you do a mental add up and see whether it's discounting the days, so you need to see if multiples of 24 are missing from the calculation. If so, we just reformat the cell, Number, Custom, and choose the format there with the H in square brackets. And as long as you are aware of that when you're adding up, and as long as you're aware of how to type the numbers in, so it's always hours, minutes, seconds, If you only type 2 parts with a colon in between, it will assume hours and minutes, not minutes and seconds. Just be aware of that. If you need minutes and seconds, then you need to physically put the 0 for the hour part. So that becomes 0, minutes, seconds. Obviously, you could format these cells not to display the hour part afterwards, but physically typing in, you would need to put that 0 in. Otherwise, it will assume that that first 0 is hours and the second value is minutes. Having said that, Excel is quite good at adding time up and giving you a grand total of time and giving you a running total of time and even giving you a difference of time. So if we were to say we started work at 10 o'clock and we finished at 11:35, we'd want to know what the difference between those two time elements is. We can simply take one cell away from the other, and it's 1 hour 35. But making use of time in Excel is fairly straightforward as long as you follow those basic rules.